What's up, friends? Welcome to Web3 Academy, a place for entrepreneurs, creators, and marketers to explore and learn how to use Web3 to transform business models and create thriving communities. Enjoy this next episode. Welcome, GM, Web3 doers. So good to be here. Today is the Thursday, the weekly roll up. Wow, what a week it's been. So much to get through. How you doing, Kai?
I am excellent, and I've been excited for this one all week. There's just every day I got new stuff that I want to talk about. It's a great week.
I think one of the things that got me so excited about this podcast is one of my clients who is a leader in the mindfulness space and has quite an old clientele. They have a online program about training mindfulness practitioners. And today in our meeting, they talked about crypto and Web3 for the first time. So there's a wave, and it's still coming. And every day there's more people onboarding onto Web3. It's wild.
I'm just going to spoil the leading part of our episode here, but that's not the thing that's exciting you this week. If anyone's watching on YouTube right now and can see what's on the screen, it's the Moonbirds page and the floor price of 31.22 ETH, which Jay owns a Moonbird. I think that's the thing you're truly excited about. But let's not talk anymore.
Let's not get there yet, though. Let's not get there yet. So today we're talking about Moonbirds. We got to talk about Moonbirds. We're talking about UX in Web3, some exciting things happening. Coinbase, a big launch over there with their NFT Marketplace, and some great products that are going to bring on more people onto Web3 and make it much more functional, much easier to use. So that's really exciting. We're going to talk about some stuff going on in the NFT space, some things that went well and some things that didn't go so well, and what we think you guys can learn from them. And then we're going to talk about an airdrop that's coming up, not because of the alpha of the airdrop, but more because of the systems in place to build community and then create a brand, and then using tokenomics to really launch a business, and what that allows you to do. And for all the builders out there thinking about launching a token, what is the best way to do that? We're going to use an example of a protocol that's doing that right now and what we see them doing. And then we're going to wrap up with our Web3 Person of the Month, and really excited to highlight somebody who's just an OG in the space and really leading thought leader. And then we also got a job that we want to chat about at the very end. We got a job opportunity to join.
Let's talk about it right now.
Let's talk about it right now. All right.
If you are a marketer and you're listening to this podcast and you want a job, we are hiring both for Web3 Academy and Impact Digital Marketing. And it is just someone who understands marketing, email marketing, copywriting, mainly those two things, but it'll be many different areas of marketing, and you'll be heavily involved in Web3 Academy and Impact Digital Marketing. If that is you, or sounds like you, and you're interested in the space and you're interested in Web3, in the job or in the links, there will be a job description. Go apply. We're hiring. So we could say it at the end too, but I want to make sure we get it in the front.
I love it. Hey, marketing 101, lead with the call to action that matters most.
Yeah.
So, okay. Before we jump in, we got so much to get through today, and we always try to stick to 1 hour to keep this short and sweet for you guys. So we're going to actually skip gratitude. Not that Kyle and I aren't grateful. We always are. But we're going to go right into it. First up, though, Kai, what's the Web3 word of the week?
Hiring. We're hiring. No, that's not it. It's Moonbirds. Moonbirds was crazy this week. and lots happening with Moonbirds, and it's going to start off the show as well. So Moonbirds it takes over Web3, although Coinbase NFT almost took the word as well, because this is huge.
There's a bunch going on right now. As we like to say in the Moonbird chat, hoot, hoot. Okay, so let's start with Moonbirds. So for those of you out there that know Moonbirds, so Moonbirds is a PFP collection that launched this past Saturday. Let me just give a sort of a rundown here. and a little bit of context and backstory. And Kai, jump in, ask me any questions if you think I'm missing anything. So Moonbirds was created by Proof, the Proof Collective. Proof was founded by Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose is a OG Web2 entrepreneur. He started Dig, which most people do not remember, but Dig was basically Reddit before Reddit, and then Reddit won and became the big thing. Kevin Rose went and joined Google Ventures, where he was a venture capitalist, and now he continues to be a venture capitalist. When NFTs blew up, he got really into the space, and he started a podcast called the Proof Podcast, which has, I don't even know how many listeners, hundreds of thousands of listeners. And then in December, he launched a NFT membership called the Proof Collective. 1,000 NFTs were launched in December. It started at a floor of about 1 ETH and kind of flew under the radar for a bit. And then I would say in maybe in like late Jan, early Feb, Proof started to pick up steam through some partnerships that they were doing. They did a project called the Grails Project, where they brought on, it was a really cool idea. They brought on 20 of the top NFT artists and did a blind, basically each one of them created a piece of art. And if you were in the Proof Collective, you could bid on basically anywhere from 1 to 20, which one you wanted, but you didn't know which artist you were gonna get, but you could see the art. So you could see the art, and these artists were encouraged to do art that was slightly different, but you didn't know which the artist you were gonna get. Anyway, so it's a really cool project. That went really well. I think the floor of some of those arts is up to like 30 ETH now for those NFTs. And the Proof Collective is up to over 100 ETH now for that NFT. So then they decided that, okay, we want to open up more of the community. Well, we're going to do a 10,000 piece PFP collection, and that's called Moonbirds. So initially, the plan for Moonbirds was to launch to do a Dutch auction. One thing that's really interesting, and I don't know how much we'll get into it today, but Kai, at some point in a future podcast, we should talk about all of the different ways that you can mint an NFT and the different styles of auctions. And we're actually going to talk a little bit later in this podcast about if you mess that up, you can cause gas wars and you can lose and waste millions on gas, which happened with a NFT collection we're going to chat about later. But initially the plan for Moonbirds was to do a Dutch auction, which is where you have a ceiling price that you start at, and it was going to be 2.5 ETH. And then basically the price goes down to whatever the eventual floor is. Now, this was before Kevin Rose went on his hype PR campaign. And as a result of that, Moonbirds caught the hype before they even launched, and they realized that wasn't going to work. So they switched to a raffle model. So in the raffle, I think they had about 70 or 80,000 people enter the raffle. Basically, they used Premint, which is a great tool if you're looking to launch an NFT. Highly recommend it. And using Premint, anybody could enter. You had to have 2.5 ETH in your wallet, and you had to follow Moonbirds on Twitter. So you enter, and then you found out on last Friday if you got the raffle. I did not win the raffle. Some of my friends did win the raffle. Talk about winning the lottery in a way. So those people got a chance to mint at 2.5 ETH. And then Moonbirds went live on the secondary market. Full transparency, I grabbed a Moonbird fairly early at about 8.5 ETH. Which at the time, let's be clear, that's a shit ton of money for me. I'm not sitting here like I'm not early in crypto. I was definitely later in crypto. I first bought into ETH and Bitcoin it's not quite a year ago, less than a year ago, when they were at their peak. I bought ETH at like 5,000 ETH, or maybe it was. That might be Canadian.
Well, I think there were 4,000.
I think it was 4,000 US. It was 4,000 US when I bought ETH. So that was at the peak. And I just watched ETH. Actually, I watched my that go to half, and then it's never come back up, unfortunately yet. So anyways, point is, 8.5 ETH was a lot for me. But I really believed in this project, so I bought it. And here we are today. The floor is 31 ETH. And the volume traded, and this is what's really so amazing about this project. This has never happened before. This is totally new paradigm that we're in. There's been 91,000 ETH trade volume on this project. In the first 48 hours, there was, I think it was 30,000 ETH was the trade volume.
It's trading at higher volumes than like Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks right now. It's the highest.
Just in absolutely insane.
Now, okay, so let's talk real quick about, okay, so it sounds like someone is just launching a bunch of NFTs and raking in the money. And that's not really what's going on. So I kind of want to make sure everyone understands this. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is just what I've learned over the last little bit looking into this. Proof is a membership pass, which is like, they do like NFT reports and things. So it's anyone who's like really in NFTs and wants to be buying, selling, etc. It's like, that's what it's meant for. And it's limited amount. I think 1,000 or whatever.
1,000.
Then you have would you call it Grail? I think was the other.
Grails. Yeah.
And that was meant just for art. That was really about art. Yeah. And then you have Moonbirds here, which is, it's actually meant for like events. So it's building a community. It's a lot for in real life events, I guess. And I think it's also funding for a bigger picture where I don't know if they're building like a metaverse style thing or yeah. So he's basically got a bunch of developers. They're building a big team. They're using the funding from this to pay for that.
Moonbirds, yes. Go ahead.
And yeah, they plan to build out like a full-on metaverse. So that's sort of the utility around the three of these things and why he's done so many NFT launches in such a, I guess, short period of time.
Yes. Yeah. And really actually, I got a couple other things that I'll show, and then I want to jump into what this means for what we can take away from this, not from a like making money standpoint, but from like a learning. Okay, you're a creator, you're a business leader. What do you learn from this for your business? First, I just want to show off my Moonbird. If you guys are looking, this is my Moonbird. I'm going to give him a name. And I think one thing to mention of why I bought this Moonbird is not only did I believe in the community and the potential utility of this, I really do believe in that. And I'm excited about the brand and I'm excited about the team. But one thing that's really cool about this project, very similar to the Bored Ape Yacht Club project and other projects, is that you own the commercial IP for your NFT. So I'm already thinking like, you know, what brand can I give my Moonbird? And you'll see, you know, there is many people online who have created entire like Twitter followings, or they're making, you know, there's the Bored Ape Yacht Club that made a burger or a fast food restaurant. There's Bored Ape Yacht Clubs that are auditioning for movies now because Coinbase is funding this movie trilogy. So I'm excited as well to own this piece of a brand that I might be able to commercialize and make revenue from. And then just to show you how big the hype got, yesterday Jimmy Fallon joined the Moonbird community. And
is he in the Discord?
I don't know if he's in the Discord. I haven't seen him there. The Discord is crazy. Discords is, it's mayhem. It's total mayhem to keep up with these things. But again, like, this is a business. So what do good business leaders do? They get marketing and they get PR and they create hype. And Kevin Rose is a master entrepreneur. And so he has got Jimmy Fallon on board. And obviously, what does that do? That just pushes it even further. But okay, let's just talk about for a second why this is interesting from the perspective of like being a business leader, and why I think like if you're in a startup or you're at the early stages of startup and you need to fundraise, NFTs is really an incredible model for fundraising. And I just want to walk through this tweet because it talks a little bit about that. And so here's a couple things that really come out of this is what you can do with an NFT is you can essentially fundraise. In the case of Moonbirds, they raised, at this point, I don't actually know how much based on their royalties, what they got, but off the initial mint, they raised about $50 million. So you got $50 million. Now everyone's not going to be able to do this. Not everybody can sell at 2.5 ETH. But when you think, even if you could raise $500,000, right, or $1 million for your project by launching an NFT, what you're doing is you don't have to go through this typical fundraising model, which is, lawyers are involved and you've got to figure out equity and you got to figure out, whether you're doing friends and family or you're going to VCs, much more complex. You're talking about months and months to do that. NFT, much quicker. And B, you're also building a community who has a direct incentive to support and grow your NFT because they care about the brand that they're buying into. So I think there's a really interesting, it's a powerful alternative to selling shares, basically, is what I'm saying, right?
Right. It's also, yes, most people can't do it at the level that Kevin Rose did it or Gary Vaynerchuk has been doing it, but like, it is free to build a community on the internet. It is free to post and put out a podcast or to put out tweets or to put out Instagram stuff. And many people have built very big, large communities for free. And then you can go to your community and say, hey, if you guys are jiving with what I'm doing, let's create a PFP together. And there you go. There's your fundraising. So like, it's possible to do it as Kevin Rose did it, even without being Kevin Rose, and I think that opportunity is really cool.
Yeah, very exciting. Okay, I could talk about Moonbirds all day, but let's shift to this equally exciting news that came out of Coinbase this week.
Yeah, I think NFTs in general are probably about to go into a bull market as a result of Coinbase and Moonbirds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hype right now. But first, Jay, congrats on buying this. I know that's a big purchase, and it's so far it's working out. It's still very early, but so far anyway, it looks good.
And I should mention one more thing that I totally forgot to mention. One thing I think my internet might have just glitched a little bit. Apologize if I glitched. One thing that I think is one that was very interesting with the Moonbirds project is, so there's this, when we talk about NFTs, a lot of people talk about the making money side. We're just always so drawn to money and how to make money. And then you get into flipping NFTs, which, that's not a sustainable model for businesses. It's also just not going to help us grow Web3 in a positive way. So what Moonbirds is doing, and you are seeing more and more NFTs doing this, is Moonbirds built into their smart contract a way to stake your Moonbird. They call it nesting because they're birds, and so you want to build a nest. But that also, and you're seeing more and more of that. You like that joke? You're seeing that because this is this idea of like, you want to build sustainable communities. So you want people involved. And so what this nesting or staking allows, so now what the proof team can do is they can see who has held and been committed to their project the longest, and then they can reward those people accordingly. And I think that is a very interesting part of loyalty. And we all talk about customer loyalty a lot in marketing. Just think about the power of that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of those, it's a great experiment. They're taking kind of the Board It Yacht Club model, but changing it and trying to innovate on it. And I think that's super cool. Does it work out? Who knows? Hopefully for Jay's sake, it does.
Who knows?
But we'll see. It's another PFP project with the goal of building a metaverse world.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those. Let's see what happens. I mean, at least Kevin Rose is someone who has been proven to deliver, right? And with many other businesses. So I think that's a big reason why it's gotten the hype and it's worth what they are right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Coinbase NFT. So this is something we've been waiting for months. I think they announced like in November last year, they were supposed to launch this thing, never did. They've launched, it's only in beta. So I think only 100 people actually get to use this, but it's the Coinbase NFT Marketplace. and it looks pretty awesome so far.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the next tweet, Jay.
Yeah.
So here you go. So this is Yano. I don't know who that is, but he was one of the 100 that got to use this. And he says they didn't just launch an NFT platform. Coinbase launched Web3 Instagram. And if you see the images, if you want to click on them, Jay, they're basically, you can comment on NFTs, you can like and reply, and you can follow either people and or like projects, which is super cool. So it becomes sort of a social platform / NFT marketplace. And it actually, if you're looking at these images, it looks very much like Instagram. So, I mean, this is what I figured was going to happen, is that NFTs are going to become sort of social. And we thought probably it was going to happen by like Instagram integrating NFTs into their platform. Coinbase beats them to the punch. But I kind of think we're going to see what Instagram did to Snapchat many years ago, when Snapchat released stories, and then Instagram goes, okay, we'll release stories too, and beats it.
Well, and Zuckerberg said it back in March that Instagram is launching an NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
He said
the only thing is I would say is Facebook and Instagram is probably way off on the technology and building. Like, I don't think that they would have, I mean, they have obviously the money and a ton of developers, but how many developers do they have that are actually in the Web3 space that can use smart contracts in that?
They all left Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, went to Coinbase, exactly. So we'll see. It'll be probably an epic battle over the coming years anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and actually one of the things that as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, this is cool, but it's still just a centralized company that has like centralized social media protocol. So it doesn't do anything for Web3 social. It would be the same thing as if Instagram just integrated NFTs kind of thing. It's still all owned by one company. Now it's Coinbase, so maybe people like that more, but it's still just a centrally owned company. There's no difference there. But their CEO, Brian Armstrong, tweeted out yesterday, says, Coinbase NFT has a social component to it. Just want to acknowledge that we need to make social more decentralized over time. We're stuck in a Web 2.5 world still, moving toward Web 3. And then he said, assets are decentralized and identity can be, if you choose to, but follower graphs, comments, and some of the post content are still centralized. But there's lots of opportunities to work on that. And we talked about Lens Protocol before, and a couple of weeks ago, and that's sort of your like foundational layer to build social platforms on top of. So maybe Coinbase uses something like that, or maybe they build their own, but it sounds like they want to go the decentralized route, which is nice. And we'll see how that plays out. I'm sure Facebook won't.
Yeah. And you can just see, really the move that needs to happen is just moving these centralized things from online to on chain. Right.
Right.
But there's this rush to get there. So I understand why Coinbase they're just trying to get there first, to build the community, to be there, to
it's
own
an MVP.
Exactly.
Right? It's a minimum viable product right now. And I mean, it's only in beta, and they're going to learn from it and build it out. And then they're going to hopefully try to figure out ways to make it more decentralized. The thing that I saw from this that I think is the most exciting, that I haven't really seen anyone talking about yet, is Coinbase is basically becoming the onboarding machine for Web3. So one of the things that you see in the video there, in order to use the platform, thankfully it's not like your Coinbase account. It's a non-custodial wallet, like your MetaMask and stuff. You just connect in the actual Web3 way. And so what's cool is Coinbase has their own wallet, like their competitive wallet to MetaMask. And so when you go into the Coinbase NFT Marketplace, you click connect, just like you would if you're going to Uniswap or OpenSea, whatever, connect wallet. But they also have the option of create a wallet, which no other application in this space has this. So if you use Uniswap, OpenSea, whatever, none of them have their own wallet. And none of them, for some reason, are integrated with MetaMask. So meaning if you're not already onboarded into the Web3 ecosystem, and you go to Uniswap, the only button there is connect a wallet. And in the Web 2 version, this is like log in versus create an account, right? And none of the apps in Web 3 have this yet. Coinbase NFT Marketplace is the first one. We're starting to see sort of that like Web 2 onboarding experience in the Web 3 world. So that is super exciting, because now anyone with NFTs, they go to this, part of the onboarding experience is just creating a wallet in the same application. It gets really weird when you like want to go to Uniswap and it's like, I got to go create a Coinbase account to buy ETH. And then I got to go to MetaMask to create a wallet. And it's like, that's where people get lost. This puts the experience all in one. And now Coinbase becomes this application where you can exchange your fiat into crypto. You can get a non-custodial wallet to use the Web3 world. and you can use an NFT marketplace and connect and log into it all in one branded, one application. And I think that is a huge unlock for the space.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of this great line I heard on a podcast the other day, which was just the challenges of the user experience for Web3 right now are what is not allowing a lot of people to come into the space. And the concept was brought up of, if it was as hard to figure out how to use an Apple phone as it is to get into Web3, then Apple would have never become Apple, right? The reason that Apple became Apple was because they were able to create a device that was super user-friendly that anybody in the world could pick up and figure out instantly. And that is what Coinbase is doing here. And that's, I mean, just huge.
It's exciting. We'll see when it goes live for like everyone to use. Right now, it's just 100 people. So we still got to wait for it to go fully live. So speaking of UX stuff happening in Web3, I think this is really cool. For those of you, if you don't know what Uniswap is, it is a decentralized exchange. So it is basically Coinbase, but in the Web3 world. And so meaning you can use non-custodial wallets where you actually own your seed phrase, you own your coins, and you can exchange from one token to another. It's on Uniswap. Actually, it's on a bunch of blockchains now. I think Polygon, Uniswap, and then all the layer twos. And you can switch from whatever token you want, like just immediately, permissionlessly. Anyone can do it. Anyone can use it. And you just connect with a wallet. And so in order to use it, though, the way that Web3 has worked always is, let's say I want to interact with, I don't know, the Ape Discord, right? The Bored Ape Yacht Club Discord, and I need Ape tokens. I got to actually go into my like URL, type in uniswap.org. I got to open up the app, launch it, make sure the URL is correct so that it's not like a scam. And then I can connect my wallet and then exchange. But I have to actually leave the, Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever thing that I was actually going to do. Very weird UX. So what Uniswap has just launched is it's like a widget where you can basically embed the Uniswap DEX into any website you want. And so now what's probably going to happen here is any tool or any application or protocol or community that requires you to hold tokens to use it, it makes sense for them to just embed the Uniswap DEX right into their website. And so part of the call to action is connect your wallet, switch your ETH over into X token, and then boom, now you can enter our Discord, or you can see X content, or you can do whatever. And it'll be all seamless. So that's actually a really cool unlock, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think it's huge, because one of the gifts of Web3 and cryptocurrency is the ease of which to move currencies around. But then one of the challenges became that all of a sudden everyone launched their own token, and it was like, oh my gosh, wait a second, now we have to transfer between all these tokens. So thank you, Uniswap. Thank you for making this easier on all of us. I
think if you haven't noticed, the way that Web3 is going is everything is going to become tokenized. Everything. Yeah. So it will, right now, I think there's something like, I don't know, 12,000 tokens or something in existence. There's going to be hundreds of thousands over the next decade, millions probably. So we're going to need tools like Uniswap.
That makes me think, if you're in our Discord, we'd love to start a conversation about what should be on chain, what should be a token, what could be a token, because there's just so much to think about right now in terms of the potential of all this. But then also, I think there's a great question of, should it be on chain? Because right now everyone's pushing everything should, and I think there's a balance that we need to find as well. So it'll be more conversation to come.
Absolutely. Okay, so speaking of more UX, let's just make the picture big here. This is when I first sort of heard about, or first started to understand the way that blockchain was going to work. It was actually through this model that I think Bankless created it, but I don't know if it was or not. Yeah. And it's called the DeFi mullet, and I absolutely love it. So there was like this picture actually just describes decentralized finance. So it's not necessarily the Web3 full-on space. It's more for finance, but it gives you an idea of how this works. So basically on the top left of this picture, it says legacy financial services, and it has front end in one picture and then back end. And then it says fintech, right? So fintech is like your PayPal's or your Robinhood or Questrade if you're in Canada. And basically it is the front end, and it has like an arrow with innovation, right? So that's your PayPal, your Robinhood, et cetera, where it's an easy user experience, right? It's super simple to use instead of like your bank. And then it's like the back end is still using the old clunky Swift payment systems and all the like shitty systems that we've built in the like decades ago kind of thing. So it didn't actually make the movement of money any better. It just made the user experience a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then you have DeFi. So DeFi applications like Aave and I don't know, Curve and Compound, et cetera. And they are the innovation of the back end with the old legacy front end. If you've ever used like Curve or any of these things, it looks like websites that were made in like the 90s. Like it looks dial-up websites. They're awful. And the user experience is brutal. And so the full result and where we think this is going is you have the DeFi mullet where you have the like fintech in the front and the DeFi in the back, right? And so you have, and we're already starting to see it with things like Robinhood and PayPal where they are now using crypto and you can buy crypto with it. And so it's still the nice PayPal user experience or the Robinhood user experience, but in the back end, they're moving money around on the blockchain rather than using Swift and all the other stuff. And so they can get better yields. They can then offer their customers better yields. They can move things across countries much easier and not have to deal with like US, what's the word? Where the US blocks people from being able to use sanctions is the word I'm looking for. So it's basically, blockchain on the bottom and then like nice Web2 platforms on the top. That's the DeFi mullet. And I think we'll see that a lot with, I mean, Twitter is doing that, right? Like with your profile pictures, you can show that you host an NFT and it's still Twitter on the front. And then you have the integration on the back. Coinbase is doing that right now. It's not a DeFi mullet. That's we call it the NFT mullet, right? It's still a centralized, easy to use, OpenSea, same thing, easy to use platform on the front. But it uses the blockchain on the back to move value around and secure value. And that's kind of where we think this is going, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And I think what's exciting to think about in the next, where there's so much opportunity. I mean, there's opportunity on both sides. There's opportunity in the back end for developers and computer engineers and researchers to build out those base layers and the infrastructure, and lots of projects working on that. And then there's opportunities on the front end to build out the better user experience, the better apps, the ways that really the masses will engage with Web3.
Right. And I think the reason that this is important to understand is like what you see and think of Web3 right now and crypto right now, this is not how we're going to use this stuff. We are not going to be interacting with blockchains. And like my mom is never going to interact with a blockchain and like think about using gas before she makes a trade. Like that's never going to happen. That will all be put underneath, underneath and behind whatever platform is going to make the apps look and feel the easiest. Even DeFi, which to me is not that difficult. We will never touch those protocols unless you want to. Like that's the thing is you have the option to if you want to go direct to protocol, but there will be the app layer built on top of it that will use those in the background. That's how this is all going to work. And so we can look forward to that in coming years.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. We got a little safety tip for everybody out there.
Yeah, you want to take it away?
No, you go for it.
Okay, so MetaMask has an app version that you can use. I don't know if it's on just iPhone, but
I think it is just on iPhone.
Is it just iPhone? Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So I have it as well, and so you can have it as your Chrome browser. You can have it on iPhone. But what's happening is Apple iPhone backs up your data on all of your apps. And if you don't turn off MetaMask, it can back up your data, including your seed phrase. And now your seed phrase to get in your MetaMask wallet is in iCloud, which is obviously hackable and a centralized database. So you don't want that. And I guess there's already been, says an estimated $650,000 in phishing scams. So you can turn this off by going to your settings on your phone, not MetaMask settings, but on your actual iPhone. You go into settings, you go to iCloud, and then you can see, I think you just click backups is what it's called. And then you can see all the apps that have it and just select it off for MetaMask and delete the old backup because you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't want that on there.
Yeah. We'll link to in the show notes to this very simple process. Both Kyle and I have done it. It takes you 2 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, definite. If you have a MetaMask wallet on and you're using an iPhone, please do this.
Right. And I guess so since we're on the topic of kind of UX here of Web3, you can go to Argent. Right now, wallets I believe they're going to be the most important tool in this space. It's going to be sort of our front page of the internet moving forward.
Yeah.
It's where it's like your new account, your dashboard, probably your browser, and probably where you'll message people and talk from. It's where you'll hold your money. It's going to be kind of everything. That's hard to believe because they're an awful user experience right now. Like MetaMask really sucks, and so does Phantom, and so does every wallet out there. So I get it. This is not what they'll be like in the future. What I wanted to bring up is there is a wallet that I feel like everyone should download and just test out now, because it's kind of where the future's going, and it's called Argent. And what's interesting is Argent has been around for a long time. Before Ethereum had all of the high gas fees, and before it had layer 2s like it has now, it was actually a smart contract wallet on Ethereum. And what that means is you don't actually have to go to Aave or Uniswap or all these different platforms and use them. Like I said, it was all built into their wallet, and it did all the smart contract stuff for you. And so like, if you wanted to stake your ETH, you could just do it inside that wallet, and it would just interact with the blockchain on your behalf. And you didn't even have to think about signing transactions, paying gas, whatever, just all for you. At the time, they also paid gas for you, but then gas got so high that they actually shut down their business. They were like, this isn't going to work anymore. So they rebuilt it on top of zero knowledge proofs, which is a layer 2 technology for Ethereum. And they've relaunched a few months ago. But what's really interesting about them, it's still the smart contract wallet, like I said, which is great. And they've integrated with a bunch of different platforms, and there's a lot of tokens on there. So it's really cool. You can even stake your ETH on there inside of ETH 2.0. But what they've done is they're changing how you secure your wallet. So right now we have the seed phrases, the 12 or 24 words that you got to write down on a piece of paper, which is a pain, and that will not be the future. Argent has done social recovery, and this is really cool. When you create your wallet, you can either assign friends or family to be I forget what they call it, but basically you can think of it as like a governor of your wallet kind of thing. A guardian, that's it, a guardian. There's 2 people behind me in the same room because we have an office and they can hear what's going on. If you saw, one of them walked by earlier with no shirt on. If anyone was paying attention, we're surfing here. So yeah, a guardian, and you can either select like friends or family, so people you trust, or you can select your Ledger wallet or your Trezor wallet, which is really cool. So it's almost like backing up your seed phrase, but on your cold wallet. And then if, let's say, you lose your wallet or your phone or whatever, you can use your guardians to say like, this is the correct person and they should get their wallet back. And I think you can like select like maybe 3 or 5 or whatever you want it to be. And then they can help you get your wallet back. So you never have to deal with seed phrases at all. You just kind of create your guardians and that's it. And so I've been using Argent, and what an amazing experience versus MetaMask. It's actually insane. So highly recommend checking that out. It's still in like beta, and it's not like, doesn't have everything yet. But they're definitely ahead of any other wallet I've seen on any blockchain with any platform.
What I'm most excited about this is definitely the new security layers that are coming in, because the seed phrase is just, you lose your seed phrase, you put it in a vault, and your vault, the batteries go out, you can't get into your vault. Like, the amount of reasons why, and you hear about it all the time because they're the catchy stories of, this guy lost, hundreds of millions in Bitcoin and whatnot, right? So that's a big win when we're going to solve that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next up here, just some quick hitters, some fun things that are, fun or funny things that are happening. And this sort of connects to what I was saying before, is should everything be an NFT? Is there value in that? And I think that right now we talk so much about NFTs need to have utility. And artists are saying NFTs don't need to have utility. They should just be art, which is also true. And I think there's a big point there to be made. But then you also have people that are just making NFTs out of anything. And so one of the original NFTs that was made, I don't know if it was original, but an NFT that was made early on was an NFT of Jack Dorsey's, who's the founder of Twitter. Somebody made an NFT of his first ever tweet. And then somebody bought it for $2.9 million. There's no utility in this NFT. It is just the proof of this tweet on the blockchain. And so then he listed it for sale a year later. The entrepreneur who bought it, who I don't know who he is, he's a crypto entrepreneur. He listed it for sale for $48 million. And the top bid he got was $280.
I mean, Jack Dorsey doesn't even like NFTs or Web3. So like, why would anyone assume that this is going to gain in value? It makes no sense.
No idea. Okay, let's shift to another project that launched recently. Vayner Sports, which is Gary Vaynerchuk and his brother AJ Vaynerchuk. They have a sports agency where they represent athletes. I think they have, I don't actually know, I think they have like 1,000 athletes under representation.
They have a lot of big names, I think.
Do you know, Kai? It's a big agency. And so they launched an NFT called the Vayner Sports Pass, or you might see it be called VSP. And there's a couple reasons why we bring this up. I think one of the main reasons why we bring it up is a lesson in how not to launch an NFT, not necessarily because of the business itself, but in terms of the technical aspects of an NFT. And so what happened when they launched this NFT, there was, I can't remember the exact number, but I think that it was about $28 million in gas, or it might have been 28 million in total, and 6 million was to the project and 22 million was to gas.
I think it was 28 in gas, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so 28 million in gas was wasted because of the smart contracts that were used. And I'm not a smart contract expert, and I'm not exactly sure the intricacies of why. And Kai, I don't know if you maybe can enlighten why that was the case. But
I can't. I can give you the solution. I can't tell you why it happened.
Yeah. But okay, so let's give us the solution then.
Well, okay, so they've actually launched multiple different NFTs. Gary V in general, not
Gary V,
Vayner
not
Sports.
AJ.
But he's launched VFriends, which was on Ethereum mainnet over a year ago and done well. He's trying to build the next Disney with those NFTs. So that's cool. Then they launched V-Books. I don't know, Gary Books.
Yes,
I don't know what it is.
V-Books.
Something to do with his books. And he did this on Immutable X, which is a layer 2 of Ethereum, and it's gasless. So you don't even have to deal with gas ever. And they've traded over 100,000 in volume or something like that. I forget what the number is, but it's done really well over there on Immutable X. And you have 0 issues of gas. Now it's on a layer 2, so not as many people are on there yet. The onboarding experience to get from layer 2 is still a bit difficult. So it's not as mainstream, not that any of this is mainstream. And then they did Vayner Sports, which was on Ethereum. And of course, when you have so much hype, the gas is going to happen. It's what happened with Moonbirds as well. And like, it's the way it always works. And I mean, the future of blockchain is not going to be on any mainnet. The future is layer 2. And so I don't know why they've already launched on layer 2. They already know that it works, and it doesn't screw over any of their people because it's free. There is no gas, and it works. So I don't know why they didn't do it there. It's kind of frustrating. I thought he was going to be the guy that starts to like lead projects to go there, and realize you don't have to do it on ETH mainnet. Anyway, he didn't, but I would look at, we're going to talk about layer 2 in a second, but Arbitrum has a big NFT marketplace already that's growing fast. You can do Immutable X more on the gaming side of things, but if it's in the gaming world, then it makes sense there. But we just got to stop doing them on ETH mainnet. It's so obvious. I don't know what we're waiting for.
One more thing that I want to talk about with NFTs, and this sort of connects to one of the issues that a lot of NFT projects have is basically the creator rugging the people buying the NFT, the investors. And the way that they can do that is they can essentially launch an NFT because of the way that we have. It's funny how we're creating all these systems and frameworks of how you should launch an NFT, but really this is all brand new in the last year. But the idea is typically when you launch an NFT, you have a mint, and then after the mint, you have a reveal where you reveal your art. and probably the most famous one of this was Pixelmon, which sold $70 million in their mint, and had promises of making basically the next Pokemon metaverse game. And then they revealed their art, and it was the worst art anybody's ever seen.
I think it was like someone from Upwork that they paid.
Yeah, and it was just awful. And so and then I don't actually remember where that project. I don't even think they did take all the money. I think they're trying to figure out how to make it work, and they brought on some board members. Anyways, but this is what can happen: is you can get rugged on an NFT project, and isn't that awful to lose all your money or lose money to that? So there's a organization out there called the Crypto Fighters Alliance, and what they have done is they have created ERC 721R, which is a new standard that you can use to ensure refunds for your NFT project. So basically the way this works is if you were to build into your smart contract, that what you could say is, okay, we're going to launch this NFT project, and you could say that anybody who buys the NFT project has 30 days. And in those 30 days, if you want a refund, you can do that. And that's built into the smart contract. Or you could say they have 15 days. Like, you could set the number of days they have. You could say that they get full refund. You could say they get partial refunds. You can build that all into your smart contract and into your NFT launch, which is going to build trust. And I mean, it's a great thing for the space. Obviously, the challenge is anybody who's planning to rug is not going to build on this standard. So they're not going to put in their smart contracts. You're not going to have the opportunity to get that refund.
But at least it's like a red flag if they don't build on it. You're like, okay, well, maybe there's more risk to this. It's also a little bit weird to allow refunds, because this isn't like you're buying like a product. I mean, it's weird because you're buying a product. You're also buying, like, you're investing in ownership or governance and like equity, you could call it. And so imagine like being able to invest and then be like, actually 3 days later, it went down. You're like, actually, I want that back, So I don't know how that's going to work. But interesting experiment, and let's see what happens. I'm sure there's something there. Okay, so this one is Optimism. This is a layer 2 on Ethereum that I want to talk about, because there's rumors just happened yesterday that they are launching a token. And the reason I want to talk about this is not because Optimism might be a good token to buy or to get. I have no idea. This is not financial advice. But the reason is because I think there's a great opportunity here to be able to see, as a builder or someone who wants to create a token or an NFT in the future, to see growth, Web3 growth at its finest right here. So Optimism is like one of the longest standing scalability companies for Ethereum. They've been in the space for a long time. They've done iteration of their product, and it's came out as an optimistic rollup on top of Ethereum, which is basically just a layer 2 that takes a bunch of transactions and turns them into one transaction on ETH mainnet. So it's super cheap for the users that are using Optimism. It looks and feels the same as Ethereum, but it's like a couple cents instead of, a couple $100 or whatever it is on ETH mainnet. And so they launched last year. I think it was in August or September, and they got all of the big protocols and applications to build on Optimism. They have a ton of users. I think if you go over to the right, to the L2 one, go right one more. They now have, this is Arbitrum, but if you go back and look for Optimism, here it is, Optimism there. So they have $650 million of value locked on Optimism, which is quite a bit in under a year, right? It's been like 9 months or something, 8 months of being live. They've built a big community. And so they've done it. If you listen to our podcast earlier this week, where we talked about Web3 growth, one of the most important things you can do is to build a community first before you launch a token. And then when you launch the token, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire, right? Where then all of a sudden the incentives come and it just like grows. But if you just launch a token immediately and you have no community, once those incentives go away, everybody leaves. And so Optimism is one of those ones that they've built an amazing community. They have great network effects, a great product. They've proven that product, and now they're about to launch a token. And I don't have a crystal ball. I can't picture what happens here, but I can only assume that this TVL of 650 million is going to skyrocket to billions in the coming months once that token launches, and the user base and activity is going to go insane. So this is an opportunity to just sort of watch what tokens can do to a business in sort of real time. So I would keep my eye on optimism here, because I think it's going to be pretty amazing to watch this. And also probably many of the other layer twos are going to follow suit. But we'll see what happens. And the reason why I think this happens is, so Ethereum's been around for a long time. And then over the last like year and a half, you've had Avalanche and Solana, et cetera, that have come out. Avalanche is basically kind of like a copy of Ethereum, but because it's less busy, it's much cheaper. So for new people, it makes more sense to go and play around on there. But what Avalanche has done is they have just done tons of incentives, right? I talked about this a lot I think it was last week. About issuance and that sort of thing. So they have tons of issuance and tons of incentives to use the blockchain, and you can make a bunch of money if you do that. But what a lot of people are saying is like, when that incentives run out, then what happens, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Polygon. They had a ton of incentives to use their DeFi stuff. As soon as they shut those off, all the users left and went to other blockchains. And so we'll see what happens here with Optimism. They went the route of like, let's build the product first, let's get users in, and then let's launch token, which is the opposite of what Avalanche did. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And I think it'll be a good model for launching products in Web3 moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Something great to watch. We'll definitely, I think, follow up on that in the next few weeks again. See where it's
scroll up. Actually, I think you can click on Optimism down on the left. You can already see. So this came out. It's not even for sure that they're going to launch a token. They just have this like very cryptic message at the end of their latest like article that said like, we're moving on to a new phase or something, which is community led and community owned or something. And so everyone's like, oh, token. And in one day you can see that their TVL jumped, what is it, 50 million? Yeah, $60 million.
$60 million
in one day. So there you go. They haven't even actually announced it, and it's already working. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this over the coming weeks.
Okay. To wrap up, as always, we finish with a highlight of a NFT, a DAO, a protocol, or a person in Web3. And today is our Web3 Person of the Month. Drum roll, please. Kai.
Got to get one of those soundboards. So we can.
I know. Yeah. I need a. The Web3 Person of the Month is Punk6529.
We actually don't know who the person is. All we know is their NFT.
But we know from listening to multiple podcasts and watching him on Twitter, he is really an incredible human who is really moving forward the space of Web3, very grounded, very much comes from a viewpoint of building the right way, not focused on financial gain, but focused on building community and making the world a better place.
Punk6529. So actually, is this the NFT of the month, or is this Web3 Person of the month? Is both?
This is the person.
Yeah, but it could be NFT too, because that's who he is.
Could be.
He is the NFT.
Yeah, true.
So what's interesting about Punk6529, he was just on Real Vision, and I work with Real Vision, so we got to learn a little bit about him. He didn't dox himself or anything, but he did like a 2.5 hour long interview with Raul. And he comes from the traditional financial / Web2 tech world. So like, we don't know who he is, but he's somewhat of a big wig, or was, in like the tech world. So whether it's like a Twitter or a Facebook or something that he was a part of, we don't know, / also in the financial world. So he's like, he's big in that world, in this whole tech world. And he's been really big in calling like what's going to happen in crypto Web3. And he's a big, just like puts out a lot of good threads, mainly on Twitter, on like what he thinks happening. And he did it all throughout that NFT boom. He's been doing it a lot on like the metaverse, and he just really opens your eyes to what might happen in the future. And he's been right about a lot of things. And he's also very early to buying a CryptoPunk, which obviously did really well for him. And he's just, if you're not following this guy on Twitter, you should, because he's the best tweet threads, and he just makes you see things from a completely different perspective. I mean, one of the things that I learned from him was just about building a metaverse, and how this is going to go is he doesn't think that there will be land for sale. He's like, land in the metaverse it's not limited by any means, right? It's unlimited, and it will always be unlimited. So why would we ever put a price tag on it? And so he's actually launching If we go to the next tweet there, it's called OM. Is it OM or just OM? Oh, Open Metaverse, I think is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Open Metaverse, which is, I don't know if it's a community-led metaverse, but basically it's not going to sell. It's not going to sell land, but it will be open for communities to come in and build and create their own cities for free inside of his metaverse. And it'll be sort of community-led. And just he has this thread is like 100 and something tweets. So like we're not going to go through it. But I highly recommend you go check out his Twitter and read through it because it's kind of mind-blowing on all the things that he's talking about. He also has an incredible NFT gallery that he's built out inside of, I don't even know what metaverse it is, but it's amazing. And his NFTs are worth something of like hundreds of millions in total. It's nuts.
And I think what's so exciting about people like this is there's this fear around identity and pseudo-anonymity in the space, but of crypto. And I think that can sometimes bring a negative view, but there's also this great positive view to it in the sense that you can have people like Punk6529 who clearly are not in it for the fame, but they want to share and be part of the progression of humanity. And that is really allowing him, I think, to create this identity where he can say things that he might not say under his own identity. So yeah, shout out to Punk6529. Listen to the Real Vision podcast or the video. I think it's a video on Real Vision's site, actually. Yeah, really good. And follow him if you're not, because super exciting things. And yeah, Open Metaverse seems to be an exciting project to follow.
Yep, there's a battle of metaverses right now. I think everyone is building one, and I'm bullish on 6529.
Definitely. And I mean, like you said, main thing, everyone's selling land right now. We don't need to buy land in the metaverse. It's not the same. Land makes sense to buy on Earth. There's a limited amount of it. There's only so much, but in the metaverse, it should be unlimited. And yeah, it's a skeuomorphic way of thinking to think that we need to sell land in
exactly. Well, that's a wrap, Jay.
That's a wrap.
Look,
wow.
If you are a marketer, don't forget we are hiring, and look, there's an application/job description in the show notes below. Go fill that out. We want you. We want all of you.
We want you. Join the Discord. If you're not in the Web3 Academy Discord, we'd love to see you there. We'd love to chat. Read the report, the Web3 report that we produced a couple months ago. Lots of great stuff in there that's still super relevant today. Some things that we actually predicted. Yeah, shoot us a message, drop us a line. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. What we got next week? What we got on the pod next week? Next week, we've got
the founder of Jump. This is a big one. It's
yeah, really excited. Jump DAO, one of the DAOs that's leading a DAO that's focused on Web3 growth and marketers. But also just a real great framework for how to create a DAO. So lots to discuss and learn from him. Really excited for that.
Thank you, friends. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. By the way, if you have yet to join the Discord community, you are missing out. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we learn, where we ask questions, where we network. You want to be in there. The link to join is in the description below. And finally, a quick disclaimer. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.